continue on with Lewis dot structures, but now we're going to be talking about drawing Lewis dot structures with molecules that have double and triple bonds. So please pause the video and in your notebook write today's date and Lewis dot structures, double and triple bonds. Our steps for drawing Lewis dot structures with double and triple bonds are the same as with single bonds, except we are adding a couple additional steps that you will start to follow. So pause the video and write those 6 steps down in your notebook so you can refer back to them. Great, so we're going to start by drawing the Lewis dot structure for CO2. So our first 4 steps again are the same. So I determine the number of valence electrons in CO2. We have 1 carbon atom. It has 4 valence electrons. And then I have 2 oxygen atoms that both have 6 valence electrons. So we're getting 12 valence electrons from our oxygen, 4 from carbon. So total, I have 16 valence electrons in this molecule. Next, we are going to figure out what is our central atom. And of course, it will be carbon because carbon is present and also it's the element that is present in the least number in this compound. We join the atoms using single bonds. Each single bond represents 2 electrons. So right now I have 4 electrons and I need to start adding more. I need to get 16 valence electrons total. So we already said we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Right away I'm thinking something doesn't look quite right with carbon. So if any atom except hydrogen has fewer than 8 electrons, which means it's not following the octet, carbon does not follow the octet, I need to start making double bonds. So I'm going to take valence electrons from my oxygen and move them over to create a single bond, or to create another bond, so a double bond with my carbon. So I'm going to do that on this side, and then carbon will now have 6 electrons around it, but I need another 2, so create another double bond. So it looks like this. So now oxygen has 2, 4, 6, 8 valence electrons around it because it's getting 4 from this double bond, and carbon also has 8 valence electrons because 4 plus 4 is 8 valence electrons, and this oxygen also follows your octet. So all the electrons are, or all of the atoms are happy. So now I just need to double check. Does each atom follow the octet? The answer is yes. And I also want to double check. Do I have 16 valence electrons total? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16? Yes. So I like putting a check mark next to all my work to remind myself that I did indeed check my work. Make sure that you've shown all 6 steps and you have your final answer before we move on to the next molecule. Next, we're going to look at O2. O2 has 6 valence electrons in each oxygen, and there are 2 of them, so we have 12 valence electrons total. No central atom because we only have 2 atoms. So we just join them with single bonds. Each one, of course, represents 2 electrons. Now I just need to add the remaining electrons. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Something doesn't look quite balanced here. And I'm realizing, okay, this oxygen only has 6 electrons around it. Something's not right. So since an atom has fewer than 8 electrons, I need to create a double bond. So I'm going to take a pair of valence electrons from my oxygen and move it over to create the double bond. So here I have 4 valence electrons, 6, 8. This oxygen is happy. And then here we have 4, 6, 8 valence electrons. That oxygen's happy. In total, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 valence electrons. I double checked because I just counted and each of these have 8 valence electrons around it. I have 12 total, so I put a nice check mark next to it. Now is your turn to try 3 examples. Make sure when you do these examples that you show all 6 steps labeled in your notes in order to get credit for the homework. Just a reminder, your homework, your Lewis dot structures must be handwritten. And again, all your work must be shown. Make sure to take a picture that is not blurry and clear for your teacher to see. and then submit it to Google Classroom. Feel free to email your teacher or attend office hours if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.